we are in discussion. Mr. Brody and I have spent hours over the last several weeks discussing this. Our collection committee, there is a process in place at the museum. I think one of the big questions has been answered, whether this was a gift or a loan. Obviously, two very different processes for the museum. So the collections committee is planning on meeting tomorrow to go over our plan that we have now. They usually do not get involved with loaned objects. They do the accessions. But I felt very strongly, and the board felt that they should be involved with this conversation, considering the sensitivity of the object itself and the process in place. As Mr. Brody alluded to, we have a short-term plan and a longer-term plan. Now, this has happened really pretty quickly, and it would be really irresponsible for us to say, oh, this is exactly what we're going to do with this, because we can't do that. For one thing, Mr. King, we don't have any idea really how big that piece is, right? We have an estimate, but until it's out of the ground, we don't really know. We have engaged a structural engineer to help us determine where in the museum it can go. The obvious place is the first floor, the basement, the open collection storage where the river gallery is. That seems like the easiest place, but that's not necessarily interpretively the best place for it to be. Interpretively, the best place would be on the second floor space, which is our main level. But again, we're going to have to determine the size, if it can hold that. And it's not just the object we are considering in that conversation; it's the case and the presentation. That a formal case will have to be built for that, and we've engaged our fabricator on that conversation already. And again, he's just, like we all are, just kind of waiting to see exactly what we're dealing with when it comes out of the ground. So Mr. Brody and I have met, as I've said, and he has said, and I submitted my letter. I think you all have that in front of you, and we're all on the same page, I think. All of our own personal feelings set aside, we now have an object that we need to deal with in a very responsible manner and very sensitively, and engage the community. The community will be engaged as we develop our interpretive plan for the piece and how we are going to include that. I'd like to respond quickly to accessibility. All Fredericksburg students are free at the museum, all the students, all the teachers. We do have an active relationship with them. Not as much as I would like. It's hard to get students into field trips now. Teachers understand that challenge. But that is a conversation that we will continue to have and continue to push with the schools to make sure that those kids are getting in to the museum, and we're constantly telling them that they're free. So hopefully that conversation will grow as we have this object that we are discussing. It's a very, very sensitive conversation, especially in classroom with little ones. But it's a piece that, responsibly we need to open our doors and do what we can do to tell the story and be involved with the Memorials Commission. I think that was one of my comments, was that if this piece is part of the larger story that the Memorials Commission is putting together, we kind of have to work together. We need to make sure our stories are very integrated.